Good morning, Kim. Hi, Cheryl.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good, thank you.
I'm glad to hear it.
How are you?
I'm doing good too. It's really hot here in Virginia. It's like plus 100 degrees.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it humid?
It's very humid. It's like walking into a wall.
Yeah.
How about up north? Do you all get the summer humidity or do you get some relief?
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, we got humidity.
Yeah, very humid. Today is cooler. It's 87 instead of in the 90s, but it's still humid.
Okay. Tell me where you are again, Kim.
I'm in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah, it is hot there too.
Yeah.
Very hot. Hi, Elaine.
Hi.
How are you
Hi,
doing?
Jane.
Okay. I'm
Hi,
good.
Kim.
Thank you all for coming. We'll give everybody just a few more minutes before I
I'm
start.
not showing my face right away.
You're not showing your face today?
Well, not right away because I'm having a little snack because I've been up since 6. So I'm having some fruit and I can't share it with you. So
Oh, you're
Oh,
well, you enjoy your snack.
thank you.
And then we'll look forward to seeing your face in a few minutes after you're nourished.
Okay, I made the bag.
The drawstring bag or the
Yeah.
garden bag?
The pattern with
Nice.
the drawstring. Yeah,
Good. Do you have it with you when you're done
I
with your
do.
snack? Oh,
Yes.
how exciting.
Okay.
That'll be a lot of fun for us. And today we're going to make one that's a little bit bigger.
Good.
And my hope is that it's going to fit a MacBook laptop, you know?
Mhm.
So, because that's what Megan has, and she loves this style. She's headed off to college, according to the university. They sent
I know, huh?
the email yesterday that they're going to let the kids come back.
Where is she going again?
Yeah, she's going to James Madison. So that's, I don't want to say it's Southern Virginia, but maybe they consider it Central Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we'll just hope for the best. My youngest, though, they're going to do online school. So she'll be home. So that makes me feel better about that.
How old's your youngest?
She's almost 12.
Mm. Wow. Nice.
All right. Are you still eating, Cheryl? Do you want to share your bag at the end? And I'll get started.
If you want me to now, I can.
Okay, I just don't want to interrupt your.
No,
your
it's fine. Either way, whichever is better for you.
Oh, if you show them now, they'll know what it looks like.
Okay. Let me go in here. I'll show you the pattern that I was going to use material on until I saw your bag.
Ooh, exciting. I love fabric. There she is. Good morning.
oh, she's got the earrings on
Those are nice.
with the lace in them.
Huh? What?
What's the, you said one time you had some earrings that had.
I forgot all about that. I'll have to show you next time.
Oh, you've got some other ones on today. They're nice.
Yeah. I got all gussied up.
I love it. For your sewing date.
This was the pattern that I was going to make.
Okay.
Oh.
And it's a reversible with pockets.
Oh.
Okay.
But when I saw that drawstring bag, I fell in love.
Oh, good.
So I guess there's a way of taking pictures before I come in to a Zoom. But I don't,
is there?
yeah, so that you can get the whole picture up. So
Oh,
it's
nice. Look at that.
Oh,
Cute
wow.
as can be.
It has
oh, Cheryl.
you know, Paris,
Uh-huh.
the Eiffel
Pretty.
Tower,
That is adorable, and I absolutely
And
love the polka dot
the
accents on
church,
that.
and I used, yeah, for the drawstring, I used the lining fabric.
Oh,
Really nice.
Let's see, I have to untie it, and then I'll show you the inside. The pockets
So
are
pretty.
the same. The pockets are the same as the drawstring, which is like a pink with a shimmer to it. It actually is Christmas fabric. It's
Is it?
little ornaments with ribbons and bows, but you can't really tell unless you stare at it. So let's see, can you see the inside?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, nice. Really
That's
pretty. Yeah. And that having the pockets in a contrasting fabric will make it easy for you to, you know, find your contents.
And I made the short handles.
Very nice. We're going to make a shoulder strap today, so that's good that
Yes.
they can see a variation of
So I
that.
had a lot of fun making this, watching you
Good.
on video and, you know, going
Nice.
back and forth.
Mhm.
And it worked up very quickly.
Yeah, it is a nice, so start, if I were working alone, it would take me about an hour and a half. How long did it take you?
I didn't time the hours because I have a health problem and I can't sit for very long. I've been getting like pain in my ribs, so I can't sit long.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
But I had it done. I would have had it done in a day,
Mhm.
half a day, except I didn't have any batting because the workmen that are here wrapped everything up, and all my batting wrapped up in
They
cotton.
wrapped it up?
We had a flood in our cellar. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but
Oh,
so
I'm sorry,
my
Cheryl.
workmen are here and they have to wrap up everything with plastic. So I ordered it from Joann's, which is about 10 minutes away, and they sent back and said they didn't have any. And then so I ordered a different kind. So anyway, I did get it last night and I finished the bag.
Oh, good for you. Okay, awesome. Well, it won't
That's it.
take us an hour and a half to sew today because I've done a little legwork ahead of this class.
So I've never made a bag, so I'm here kind of to see somebody make a bag
Yay.
because
Okay, this is fabulous then, Kim. Okay, great. Let's get started. So the first thing we're
Andrea?
gonna, yeah,
Is it going to be like this bag?
it's the same style, Elaine, a little bigger, and I'm gonna show you how to do a shoulder strap instead of the two handles.
'Cause
But Kim, the pattern that Elaine's holding up is on the main club page, so you can print that. So
okay.
if you prefer to read instructions, you have that and you can take notes. In addition to, I have another video tutorial that if you want to make the smaller one, you can pause and replay. And then later today or early tomorrow morning, I'll have this video up too if you want this bigger one. So you'll have lots of chances to review if you miss anything today.
And she's really good.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. You're so sweet. Okay, so I selected a houndstooth for my exterior. I thought that would be fun.
Pretty.
Now on Cheryl's bag, she put the contrasting fabric for the gusset here. And that is a really neat way to add interest to the outside of the bag. I thought this, you know, houndstooth in a way, it's classic, but it's kind of busy all by itself. So I didn't want to add any or detract from the noise this fabric kind of makes.
Right.
And so this is what I'm going to teach you first is this exterior panel. For the larger one, I used 18 by 18 inch squares. And I notched out in the bottom left and right hand corners 2.5 inch squares. So this is going to give the bag about 5 inches of depth. And then across the base here, this part here, that will be less the seam allowance, the width of the bag at the base of it. And so I felt that was big enough for Meg's computer. But let me tell you about how right now it's 13.5 inches. So maybe after I sew it, it might come down to 12.5, which will fit her computer nice. So together we're going to craft that second panel so you can see how to do it. I call these gussets. They may have a different term depending upon your sewing experience, but basically this is where the drawstrings feed through on the front of the bag. And so these are made from 4-inch by 16-inch strips of material, and to finish those I take the short edges and then I just press them over, and then the long edges press over like that, and so it's nice and finished all the way around. And then before I position it on the exterior panel, I'm just going to run a little top stitching to hold those corners down. So I want to make sure you all can see the machine too. Is that enough in the view for you to see that? Okay. And then if you don't like the sound of the machine, just turn me down while I sew. And I do back stitch at the beginning and the end of that to finish that little hem there. And that's probably less than 1/4 inch of seam allowance. What I do is just line the fabric up with the right hand edge of my foot.
No, you don't put interfacing in that piece?
Not on this piece, I don't, because you'll see when we thread the drawstrings through, you want that to gather up. And so it's those kind of gathers that make the bag so pretty when you pull those drawstrings. Okay, so then I'm going to position this approximately 3 inches down from the top edge of that panel and center it. And as soon as I get it in place, I'll hold it up so you all can see that. I just don't want to make you seasick moving the camera all over. Have you ever been on Zoom chats and you're like, okay, that's enough, please stop moving. I have to look away. It's like being in a car and reading something and then looking up.
Oh.
Okay, so I pin that 3 inches down from the top. And so that's going to give me enough room when I fold over that top edge to still have those little gathers in the top of the bag, but still plenty of room to actually have cargo space in the bag when the drawstring is closed.
Okay.
And so because those edges are finished, now all I have to do is run a row of stitching down the long ends.
The side. Right.
So I'll do that real quick. And same thing, just make sure you back stitch well, because that's going to be a stressor point for this little panel here. And again, I'm just lining that up with that edge. That seam allowance, whatever it happens to be, looks really nice on bags.
Andrea, I made mine 18 inches too.
You did what?
I made mine 18 inches also.
Oh, good for you. Was that what I had in the pattern?
I'm not sure. Let me look.
Okay. I hope I'm not making the same bag. I thought I was making
Yeah,
it bigger.
it is. It's 18 inches.
Darn it.
But the computer fits in it. My laptop does.
Okay.
Oh.
I thought for some reason, does it say on your pattern too, Elaine, it says 18 inches? Because I thought it was 15 for some reason on the smaller one.
When you were sewing the one, you said 17 inches.
Oh, I did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I really definitely thought it was going to be bigger.
I love it. I love this bag. My daughter loves it too. She's hinting.
The girls
Oh.
really love this style of bag.
Mm,
It's super comfy to carry because it's not heavy.
yeah. And it's cute.
And if you need extra space, you just pull open those drawstrings and you can
Oh.
stuff all your goodies in there.
Yeah.
But yet when it's pulled close and those drawstrings are like knotted, you know, I feel really good that no one can get inside of there
Yes.
without noticing. Okay. So now I have my little gusset in place and I have that channel there so the ends are open. So what I want to do is bring back over the panel that I already finished for time's sake and align those gussets first, even if it means that my top or bottom panels might be slightly misaligned, just because I think when you're looking at the bag from the side that if those drawstrings are misaligned, it catches your eye more because like this little bit that's off center there at the top, I'm going to be able to hide by folding that over. And so that's all going on the inside of the bag. But if I misalign these drawstrings on the side by the same amount, the bag would look crooked to me anyways. So I start by just aligning those, and it can be a variety of reasons why you get a little bit of extra at the top. I personally think the batting kind of stretches again after I iron the second time. It can be of course, the grain of the fabric. This even sewing along there can give a little bit of stretch, but it's not so much that's going to cause me any problems. So once I have those aligned, then the next point that I focus on is tidying up my corners there because I do need those to be aligned in order to get even depth on both sides of the bag. So I don't put too many pins in it because I don't want to have to take them out. And I also don't want to risk poking myself. So those two panels are right side spacing.
Oh.
And then I like to use 5/8 of an inch seam allowance when I'm making bags for the interior seams. And so I'm just going to stitch down the sides and then across this base. I'm not going to do anything with this little notch quite yet. So I have those 3 seams in place. Now, generally with the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, it's more than enough room to ensure that I captured all of those layers. It gets a little more tricky on the interior when you're adding the pocket layers too, but it doesn't hurt to just go back in and make sure that nothing shifted and you didn't accidentally get too close to that fabric, because with bags, you know, you're going to load them up and then there's going to be pressure on those seams. And so if it's really close, you run the risk of popping a seam. And then once I'm confident everything's in there, I do trim it back a little bit. Not too close, but I just want to get rid of that excess bulk there, mostly so when I turn over that top edge, my machine won't struggle too much at those side seams, because there'll be the 2 layers of batting and 4 layers of fabric, plus the batting and fabric from the handle that I'm gonna install on this. So that's asking a lot of most regular machines, but if you trim everything back, it should be able to handle it, unless you have like a super lightweight machine. Okay. Then, and in that case, if you do, like if your machine just isn't one for a lot of layers, open up your seams and press them. You can even like kind of like a meat tenderizer works, take a little hammer and just kind of break down the fabric just a little bit. But if you're using cotton fabric, it should be okay. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. And then I want to reach inside of there and align that side seam with that base seam. And that's going to give the bag its depth. And so just make sure that everything is laying nice and flat. Sometimes that fabric likes to curl up in the corners, so try and get it good and flat. And then it's up to you if you want to open the seams or not. Again, it's going to depend on more on your machine. It won't impact the look of the bag at all. So once you know you have everything aligned, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance there to create the depth of the bag with the back stitching. And then repeat that process on the other side. And then same thing, just check and make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And if it looks good, go ahead and trim that away. And then if you were really meticulous, you would actually probably measure before sewing, but I usually just come back and fold in the edges, and it does work out pretty good for me. But if it didn't, and let's say this side was like a 1/4 inch or more off, I would go ahead then and get out the ruler, and I just use a marker because it doesn't usually go through into the fabric. But if you have something else that you like to use, like a chalk pencil or something, that's fine. And then at that point, I would draw a straight line rather than risk sewing another crooked line or making it too short, because you usually only have just one chance to fix these bottoms if they don't work out for you. And then because this is the exterior, you're going to turn it right side out. And using that notched corner, you can see how the side seam and the base seam aligns perfectly.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
And I think probably in the tutorial, I just did what I call like a fat corner, and I flattened it. Yeah. And that works too.
Mhm.
There's not one that's better than the other. It's just with this one, you can actually see what you're
Yeah.
lining up. Whereas with the
Right.
fat quarter, you're feeling it. Okay, so this is what the exterior looks like. And it's a nice size.
That's sharp. Good looking.
I really like this houndstooth too. I've been seeing it more and more in people's bag designs. And so I've been anxious to try it, or eager rather. Okay, so
Is
then
that a
you take,
cotton?
yeah, well, actually, you know, it feels like it has like a little sheeny on the outside here,
Oh.
but you could tell before that it was kind of see-through a little bit too. So,
Oh.
I mean, yeah, like
Oh.
I can see through it. So,
Mhm.
but not a lot of stretch. I
No.
regret that I didn't look at the bolt when I got it.
It's nice.
So I'm not sure what it could be, but it has a finish on it, but not much stretch,
Mm-hmm.
which you don't want fabrics that stretch when you're making
No.
bags. It'll just be too difficult. Okay, so then I tuck that top edge in about an inch, 3/4 of an inch is fine. In this case, my priority is going to be trying to keep that line of the pattern nice and straight,
Oh,
because
yeah.
this was, yeah, in some respects, this fabric could be a big challenge.
Oh,
If
yeah.
it wasn't cut straight off the bolt, can you
Mm.
imagine? That would be a nightmare. You'd be fighting that.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me making a valance. I went to a place that had seconds, and I bought a print, a very small print. And I said, something
You'll
isn't
go
right here. Am I
crazy, yeah.
measuring wrong? And here, what it was a second because it was printed crooked.
Yeah.
It was awful. But once
And
it was
it's
all
so- I
gathered
do-
up, you couldn't tell.
Yeah, I've gone mad with prints, like stripes and things, trying to straighten those out. And then once you get the grain all wonky on it, it's
Yeah.
such a challenge. Okay, so here is the exterior, which I'm thrilled with. And height-wise, we're coming in at about 14 inches. And we ended up with 4.5 inches of depth, it looks like.
Hmm.
And across the base, 12 inches.
Hmm.
So that's a good size bag there. And I'm hoping
It
that
is.
the laptop fits in it. Okay, so now we just have to craft the interior, which for this one, I'm not going to use any batting because I want to keep it nice and light for her. And so here is one of the interior panels. I'm working with these bugs again. I thought they'd be a blast.
Cute. I want
With
them.
the
I don't
houndstooth,
want the
yeah.
bugs. I want the fabric.
Aren't they so
Oh.
cute? Yeah. And the more I looked at them, there's so much detail. I almost want to sketch them out so I can remember them.
I love
So
them.
this interior is going to have 6 pockets. And so I took this panel here and divided it in 3 ways. And so I'm going to show you how to make this panel. And it is crafted just like we made the pockets for the garden tote, from the 18 by 18 inch square. And then you fold that in half and press over those top edges to get a finished edge.
Mm.
And then I like with mine to stagger them just a little bit. So I definitely want my bugs going up, I think. So I'm going to work off this side. So I put the back layer of the pocket up just a little bit before stitching that in place. And what that does is create like a little lip. And you can feel it like when you're reaching inside your bag but not looking, and you're trying to find where the pockets are, right?
Yeah.
So, and because we have the 4 layers of fabric folded over, it adds some stability to that pocket without having to interface it. And then what I'm going to do is run a straight row of stitching down to just get that all in place. And then I come back and add a second row of stitching just to finish that really nice. And it doesn't really have a function, I don't think, the second row. It's just more for looks and finishing details.
It does look nice. Who makes that fabric?
You know, I think it's by the Big Brother, Big Sister design. So it's at the Hobby Lobby, and I bet you can find it online, Cheryl.
Okay.
Their website doesn't have the greatest algorithms. I've had lots of conversations with the people who work there, and they're kind of technology adverse on purpose. It works for them because I heard they're one of the most profitable private companies in the United States. So whatever they're doing works, but it's in terms of profit. But anyways, if you search very basic terms on their website, like beetle, you might be able to find it.
That's where I got my my Paris, France fabric.
Oh, fun. It's gorgeous.
Oh, I need that fabric. It's just too cute.
So pretty. Okay, so now I have my second row of stitching in place. And then normally if I had the iron hot, I would fold this in thirds and then just press it in thirds. And then I would have my stitch lines pressed in.
Clever.
And yeah, and that will ensure a straight line for sure. But the iron is not hot and not handy. So I'm just gonna fold it in thirds anyways, and then press with my finger there. And it should give me enough of a visual. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I can see it. It won't last too long, so I have to work quick using that. But if you press yours in and then, like Cheryl, you said, you need to walk away, those press lines will still be there when you return. And so now I want to position this the same distance on both panels from that little notch there. And so for me, that was about 1.25 inches from that side edge. And so once I get that pinned in place, I'll bring it up and show you all what that pocket looks like when it's pinned in place. And you do have a little bit more room if you want to bump your pockets up, like if you like them closer to the top. Just keep in mind though that you have that gusset on the exterior of the bag. And so when you draw, you know, pull your drawstring closed, you don't want these interior pockets too close to the top.
Oh,
because whatever's in them might get in the way of the drawstring functioning correctly.
Right. Okay.
So here I have lots of room to play there from the top of that pocket. And so that's what it looks like. There's no batting on this, so it's good and floppy. But this bag is totally machine washable, so that's another reason to leave the batting out of the interior, because it'll dry much faster for you. And also too, the more layers that you're gonna add, the less of the gathers you're gonna get with the drawstring. Okay, so for this, I'm gonna begin by stitching across the base of the pocket first so nothing shifts. And then I'm gonna come in and divide my pockets. You definitely want to back stitch on the tops of the pockets because again, a stress area where you're taking stuff in and out of your pockets. And if a stitch pops there, it's going to be hard for you to repair. You could hand sew it for sure, but it will be very difficult for you to separate it out from all the layers after the bag's together if you needed to repair. So I just go over it, honestly, probably twice to reinforce. Okay, so first the base. And then the 2 stitches to divide the pocket. And if you have shallow contents that you like to keep, like lip gloss or car keys or something, you can come across in between that center pocket and divide that horizontally so that you can keep shallow things in there. And sometimes I will do that specifically for like lip balm or chapstick or hand lotion, things I want to find really fast and I don't want to get all the way to the bottom of the pocket. Okay, so that's what that interior panel looks like. And now this comes together in the same way that the exterior did. I'm going to position that second panel, which I already pre-made, right sides facing on top of that. And again, my priority is going to be those pockets, aligning them, because I feel like if you look in the bag and see the pockets misaligned, that's going to catch your eye, right? No stranger's going to notice, only you will know. And so, and if I have to choose for some reason between the top or the bottom of the pocket being aligned, I pick the top because the bottom you can hide.
Aha. My mother would say you have a method to your madness.
My grandma liked to say that too. Or I guess I found lots of ways to compensate. Okay, and then once you have everything pinned, I do add a few extra pins to this layer just because I have had those pockets turn in when I'm sewing them.
Oh.
And then you'll have a raw edge on the inside and that won't work. You'll have to tear out the seam and fix that. So now sides first, and then across the base using that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, which is super useful on the interior because now there's what, 8 layers from the pockets or full, well, 8 at the top where we folded the pockets, 4 for the rest of the pockets, plus the 2 for the interior and exterior. So that's a lot of fabric that could shift or wiggle out of that seam allowance. So that's why I'd just rather be really generous with the seam allowance and trim than sew the whole bag and realize I have a hole. And then depending on what you're going to use your bag for and put in those outer pockets, you might want to reinforce here too at the pockets with a back stitch. Like if you're going to put something in there, like let's say it's a calculator, right? And it's going to be a snug fit and put pressure on that seam, go ahead and reinforce it on the interior. Right, and then I have all of the seams in place. I'm just going to remove the pins. I still have a couple of pins on the inside for the pockets. You don't want to forget about those because it hurts if you put your hand in the pocket and catch a pin. So sometimes with this one, it is easier to kind of turn it inside out just to make sure that you did get all those pins, especially with a busy print like this. And I think I have them all. And then you can check, of course, from the outside too. And then I check those side seams and make sure that my pockets are good. And it's not as important to trim away the excess for the interior if you didn't use batting, because you can easily open up those side seams. So if it doesn't bother you, I would leave it in place, because then as you wash the bag, any fraying that might happen, you'll get a lot of wear out of that before you have any repairs necessary. Okay, so then you just need to finish your corners. So you pull on that and you're aligning the side seam with the base seam and then stitching 5/8 of an inch across there. And in this case, since I didn't trim those seams, I am going to, I'm not sure, what do you call those, felded? When you lay one side to opposite sides? Do you all know what that is? So one seam's going to go to the left and then one's going to go to the right.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just to minimize.
I forget what it's called. You do that in quilting too.
Yeah. Nesting?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's coming in at 4.5, so that's good. If you don't use the batting, sometimes you can have a little variation on that. So I might need to come in a little deeper on the interior, but it was working for me. 1.5, so that's great. And then I'll just bring them together just to make sure. And they worked out perfectly, lucky me. Okay, so here is the interior, and you can see those pockets all in there. This bag actually has a lot of functionality with all those pockets. So then you'll take that top edge and you'll fold it over 1 inch. Again, normally if I had the iron on, I would just go ahead and give this a press so that it holds while I'm pinning everything in place. And then we need to bring back over the exterior and fit that inside of there. And I begin at the side seams. And once I have the interior aligned with the exterior on both sides, then I can come in and begin pinning the front and the back of this. And the easiest way I think to do that is to just pull again and let the fabric grip that batting on the underside, and that gives you a little bit of a helping hand while you pin. And if your seam allowances were consistent, your interior should fit your exterior. If it is way off, you may want to pull that out and see if you need to make some adjustments. If it's just a smidgen off, oftentimes, especially with the interior, you can just sneak in a little pleat and it'll be fine. So once you get that fit inside of there, I put my hands in there, and again, that interior fabric, because it doesn't have any batting, is going to cling to the batting on the exterior. So I just smooth it all out, and you can see even just with the one layer of batting, it still stands on its own. Now, that's not to say if I put books in it or something, it wouldn't flop over. It would, because it's not rigid. It's still nice and soft, but it's light enough that it's still comfortable to carry. Whereas like if this were made from vinyl or leather, it's going to add a lot more weight. But you certainly can craft this from a heavier fabric. It's just you're going to lose that, you know, gathering that we're going to see, because I'm not certain that you're going to be able to get a lot of gathering out of the vinyl. Some of them though are really pretty pliable, so you might be able to. All right, so that's what I have so far. So I'm going to set that aside for a few seconds here and then talk to you about the straps. Cheryl, do you have your bag right there handy for the folks that are just joining us?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, so there's a pattern and a video posted that will show you how to craft this with these double handles, which Cheryl used on her bag, or shoulder straps here. Can you, yeah, let's show them the double handles, Cheryl. Thank you so much. So with the two handles, it's very comfortable to wear right on the shoulder. If you craft this strap, which I'm going to show you how to make today, it's wider. It's cut from an 8-inch wide strip of material. And so that sits really nice on the shoulder. But you're probably not carrying this bag in hand like you would be able to do, or in the, you know, crook of your elbow like you could do with the double handles. But if you prefer to wear your bag on your shoulder and comfort's a priority, this is a great option for that. Yeah, and this width is so comfortable. And if you order online, you can find tri-glides or slides that are 2 inches wide, and you can make the adjustable strap that I showed you at the beginning. I don't have any on hand, so I'm just going to make mine a fixed shoulder strap that's really the right length for my body. And so that's 8 inches by 30 inches is what I cut the fabric. And for those of you that haven't had a chance to watch the strap making video, I craft all my straps in the same way. So I take that 8-inch wide piece of fabric and I fold it in half and press it. And then I open that up and insert a 4-inch strip of batting. Bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line. Press it again. And then fold that over to create a really nice, thick, padded strap that's not going to twist on you or bunch at all, because it has that 2 layers of batting and 4 layers of fabric. And so I begin with my straps stitching down that open edge first, just to ensure nothing shifts. And then I come back and stitch along the opposite edge. And then you have the option of doing this, you know, second row of stitching on each side like I did with the pocket. Or for this one, I thought it would be fun, just again, because that houndstooth is loud, like I can almost hear it talking to me. I just put 1 row right down the center. And so that's going to create almost like little poofy channels on the shoulder there. So I think it's a comfortable option with the center stitching right down the middle there.
Yeah.
So I have my strap pre-crafted for the sake of time, which we're doing great. It's 11:52. And what you'll do with this single strap is position it right at the side seam. And you're just gonna tuck those raw edges in, and you want to center that, so that center row of stitching on the strap comes in quite handy, because then I know what center. And I come down in between those layers about 1.5 inches, because I tend to overload my bags, and so I want enough room that I can add a minimum of 2 rows of stitching on those handles. You definitely don't want your handle to pop off and then have anyone know you made the bag. Right? But just in general, I think no one needs their handle to pop off.
I'll say Elaine made mine if it happens.
Okay, so here's what the bag looks like with the handle in place.
Nice.
And before you sew that, try it on and make sure that you're happy, you know, with that fit. Like, this is the style of bag. You don't want it too low. You don't want this bag down by your knees, because it's a big bag. And so you just want to make sure it fits you good, because you have the ability to determine the length or the drop on the bag. So once you have that strap in place, then you're going to need to sew all the way around the top of the bag. And so I do like to take off this machine deck and then fit that up on the bag. And I begin with the handle so that nothing shifts on me as I'm moving around underneath and getting all this fabric under there. And I definitely backstitch on the handles. And then after I make it all the way around, I'll come back in and add a second row of stitching at the handles. If you're really going to carry heavy stuff in there, like let's say your laptop's super heavy, I would do 3 rows of stitching at the handles just to be sure. And so that was a lot of fabric and batting there, but my machine wasn't phased too much by it. I do use the 90-14 needles though, and so that helps. And just like the pockets, I'm aligning the top edge of that bag with the right hand edge of the foot. And And then what I do just out of habit is keep this hand inside of the bag. I don't know if you can see that. And so then I can feel that nothing's shifting and that top edge is still aligned. And then this hand stays right here to make sure I'm staying straight. And my eye, of course, is on the edge of the foot. And then as it's time to get a little more leeway there, I just move everything around and again, make sure nothing's shifted. And then before I sew down that second strap, I just visually inspect that and again, make sure that pin didn't come out and it didn't twist or it's not off center. Sometimes things can get caught under the machine and you don't realize it, or like more times than not, I misplaced my scissors and they're under there and then it turns it all wonky on me. Okay, and then I'm coming back up on my starting point. And so because I did a good job with the seam allowances, there's no bunching at this point. But if you did start to see a little bunching, just pull a bit while you still have like that 3-inch gap there. And this will keep you from accidentally sewing in a pleat that you didn't plan for. And I always overlap that stitching a bit. In fact, I like to come right back into that center seam if possible. And then now for the most part, everything is nice and secure. After we hang up here today, I'll go back in and add that second row of stitching. But I want to show you how to actually create the drawstrings and how this functions real fast as we're coming up on 12 o'clock. So the exterior is complete. Now we need 2 drawstrings. And these are made from 2 strips of fabric that are 3 inches by 44 inches long. And that's just because I was working with 44-inch fabric, so I could cut that full 3-inch strip. If you have like 42-inch fabric, it's totally fine. Don't feel like you have to seam anything together. And what I do with those, they're crafted. I saved just a little bit of sewing here so I could show you. Crafted in the same way as the strap, no batting though. And then like that gusset, we're gonna fold over that little short edge to finish it. Then fold it in half and press and bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line. Press again. And then for the drawstrings, I just stitched down that open edge. If you had a fabric that you could actually see your stitching on, or you were using a pretty contrasting thread, you could put a second row on the opposite side if you want. I can't even see the fabric or the thread on this one. So it would just basically be a waste of time and thread for me to add that second row. So I'm just going to line up where I left off and finish this strap real quick, and then I'll show you how to thread it. All right, so these drawstrings are finished then because we folded in those outer edges. If you forgot for some reason to fold in the outer edges and you still have the raw edges, you can knot them as well and then just trim really close. You could even string a bead on there, would be beautiful if you had access to big chunky beads. Okay, so I use a safety pin and I put it in below that fold so there's no chance that I'm gonna rip the fabric as I pull and scooch. And I just work with one drawstring to begin and start at one end, and I'm basically just threading through a U. So I only want it to go around one time, and I want both ends to end up on the same side of the bag. And the gusset is so wide and the safety pin's nice and big that this works pretty fast. And as soon as you can reach in and grab the safety pin, that will expedite things. Just make sure you don't pull out your tail. Okay, and then on this side, once I get both of those out, I do go ahead and loosely knot these because I don't want to have to re-thread them. So not too tight. I just want to make sure that they stay on that side of the bag. And then with this one, I'm going to start out on the opposite side that does not have the drawstrings hanging out and do the same thing. I'm just going to make a U. So across the front, around one corner and back to the coordinating drawstring. And so it doesn't really matter if you come under or over that other one on the opposite side. Just make sure you don't let your end out too far. And see, it was trying to sneak away on me. So it's good that I knotted that because then I can bring it back to center. And if you use contrasting fabric like Cheryl did, you can see a little bit better on this. But now as I pull those ends, it just cinches up really nice for me.
Oh, that's cute.
And so this one's already knotted. Thank you. And then this one, now that I have this nice long tail there, I'll remove my safety pin and then I'm gonna knot that too so that I don't have to chase these drawstrings back and forth if I'm too ambitious on the pulling. But so let's say you're in the store and checking out, right? You just reach your hands inside to open your bag, get what you need, and then you're ready to leave. Just pull it and off you go. And so like right now it's pretty small bag, but if I wanted to fill this up, I could hold a lot of contents in there. So it offers a lot of room to expand. Any questions?
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's pretty easy.
Yay. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. Oh, we can't hear you, Cheryl.
I kept losing my drawstrings inside because I didn't tie them together. So I'm glad I stayed to the very end.
Oh, I'm
Now
sorry.
they're tied together.
Each time I learn a little, you know, another little trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay,
good.
okay.
So you got one little takeaway. If you really wanted to, I imagine you could stitch them together too, if you wanted. Yeah. If I was gonna wash the bag though, I think I would take the drawstrings out and hand wash those maybe so they don't get stuck or twisted. I guess it depends on what kind of machine you have. You could use a garment bag too and put everything inside of a garment bag could help. Yeah, so, okay,
Thank you.
so you are so welcome. And we came in at 12:05, but that's not too much over. All right, so
Great.
I think we're gonna go with the Lisa dress. Any
Really?
objections? Is that good? Okay. I'll order my material today and the pattern, and then I hope to see you all next Tuesday, and we'll start working on that dress.
Cheryl, did you say you wanted sleeves
Yeah,
on the dress? Me too.
and you said the Lisa?
The Lisa dress, yes, that one. So I know it had a couple variations in it.
It was
And
just
maybe-
a little cap sleeve. I want a whole sleeve.
Is there a way to add? Do you all know how to do that?
I haven't done it, but I'll try.
Yeah, I'm sure we can put our minds together and figure something out, right?
The
Or
only
if you
thing
have-
with
spare
sleeveless, it's a little deeper on the arm side, so we'll have to adjust.
Yeah. But that could be really fun too, to discover what we can do with it. Okay?
Thanks.
So, and then Friday we have show and tell if you want to join us and show off anything you're working on. All right?
Okay.
Okay, have a
Have a
great
good
day,
week.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.